Moving right along.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing, Eric? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. I'm feeling much better. I've been ill the last couple of weeks. I'm feeling so much better. I think I'm now getting a cold.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm feeling the sniffles coming on. Or I don't think I have allergies. I haven't in the past, but maybe in my old age, I'm developing allergies. It might be that because everybody else in my family has them. I don't. Maybe I am getting them.
I don't know what to tell you. I do know that, like, I kind of thought, well, maybe I'm getting allergies. Like, this a couple of years ago, and then I took a scratch test, and they're like, nope, you're fine. I'm like, but, like,
yeah,
well, I think that's just called being human, maybe at some level.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is what. Anyways, the house, the banging upstairs above my office is continuing, but it's at least showing progress. The whole kitchen remodel and fireplace fun is being addressed. Not fast enough for certain members of my household. But
you don't realize how much you like and need and use your kitchen until you don't have it for a few weeks.
Yeah. Tired of washing dishes in the bathtub. So
yeah. Paper plates.
Lots of paper plates.
We were big with paper plates.
Yep. Lots of paper plates. Lots of takeout. Fast casual takeout. Yeah, it's still got another month or so. But it'll be great when it's done.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm hopeful that your fireplace woes get worked out.
They were supposed to be addressed today. They were not addressed today.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fingers crossed. Tomorrow is the day they will be addressed.
Okay, because the person didn't show up, or because there was a problem with
we got ghosted
to be.
So,
okay.
Hopefully it's just they didn't show up.
Okay,
and they will show up tomorrow, and not something more dramatic. So
okay, I have a project going on at the moment too, which is having my deck. It's just the boards replaced. The structure's still fine, but having the deck.
Nobody on the podcast could see you kind of. Your body movement did not say fine, but your mouth said fine.
Well, now that he's got the first little bit done. Well, let's say that I went out on the porch last night. So a guy shows up yesterday. So, all right, let me start at the beginning. You said the guy ghosted you, or, the contractor ghosted you. Because when the guy who was going to do the deck showed up yesterday, his helper did not show up. It was just him. And he's like, my assistant ghosted me, or ghosted him. Mm-hmm. And he's like, evidently, raking lawns are easier than what I would have him do. Whatever. But it turned out that, there was a bunch of deck boards to be taken around the backside of the house and sort of staged. And since the assistant didn't help or didn't show up, my two boys and my wife wound up doing all that work, which was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And I'm like, sorry, I'm on calls. I'm working. Anyway, so what was I telling you? That I got this deck project going on, and so last night at some point I go out, and he's just staring down at the deck, and I look down, and the joists are not lining up perfectly, it's crooked, and he's like, deck structure's a little wonky. I'm like, everything about this house is a little wonky. He's like, well, I'll get it fixed. I'm like, okay, good. And then I'm like, I can't. I want to see the final product. I don't think I want to see the sausage making.
That's right.
Let me let me let me have my ostrich moment or something like that. I just don't want to even care. So
Yeah.
it's fine. So he's gonna, I know he's gonna have to like add some stringers so that the boards are supported properly, and
right.
He's like, yeah, these stairs, yeah, that's like more than 3 foot between whatever you call the cut 2x12s that the stair treads. He's like, yeah, we'll need to put another couple of those in place because you're not going to span. You're not even going to span 2 feet with a composite deck material. Right. So I'm like, that's fine. I just tell me when it's done. Tell me when it's done. Anyway. Okay, but and he told me it would take him a week, and I was like, okay. Having seen how much he got done the first day, I'm gonna go with like a week and a half. But it's okay. We'll see.
Okay.
So I have a story for you. We went to lunch today. I saved this for the podcast.
I'm all ears
because this is not something that I think happens to most people if you don't live on a farm with dogs and squirrels. And so
you're kind of setting up the guardrails there.
The other day, my dogs were like barking their heads off underneath the truck because they had clearly treed a squirrel inside the engine. And so I went over with the stick and popped the hood and, kind of poked at the squirrel until the squirrel ran away. And the squirrel got away from the dogs. Which I'm like, girls, you have one job. Like, anyway.
I'm having visions of Caddyshack and the gopher.
Oh, totally. So, but then I'm like, they were going nuts under the truck. So I'm like, did they damage anything? What'd they do? And so I look underneath there, and sure enough, there was a coolant hose that had like a drip on it. And so one of the dogs had clearly like bitten, just trying to rip her way into the middle of the engine, but had bitten through a rubber hose or a rubber coolant hose. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to start the engine knowing that it will be draining coolant. So I did a little bit of Googling, and I popped so anyway, got some tools, spent longer than I should take because I'm not a pro.
Duct tape.
In like the 100-degree heat.
I was going to say it was hot this weekend. Yeah,
it was very hot. And so I took the hose off. It turns out so the truck has a secondary radiator for the fuel system coolant, something like that. I don't know, whatever. And so I took the part out and I took it to the auto store. And he's like, well, our Wi-Fi is down, so I can't look anything up. I'm like, well, can I look it up on, I got a phone. He's like, no, we only got a small stock. So he takes me to the back of the auto store. This was in Napa. And we looked through the hoses looking for one that fits. This is not what I expected to be. No luck. He's like, well, you try this other store. So whatever. So anyway, I went to 4 auto stores before giving up and saying, fine, I will wait until Monday when the Ford dealer opens, and I will go to the Ford dealer and see if they have it. And they did not have, or the Ford dealer I went to did not have it, but he's like, oh, but there is one in stock at in the Tiger Ford. I'm like, okay, wrote down the part number, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, went down and got it. And then I go to install it, and one of the auto part stores that I had gone to, one of the guys had been helpful and removed the hose clip from one end so he could pull the sleeve off and see if there was markings on hose, and he did not give me the hose clamp back. I went to 4 auto parts stores tonight to try and find a matching hose clamp, of which I will be going to the Ford dealer service desk tomorrow to see if they have a hose clamp. That is it's 0.8 inches according to a micrometer on the inner diameter. So, yeah. Darn dog. And I totally knew when it was happening because I was holding a goat for my wife at the time. And the dogs were going nuts. And I like, in my heart of hearts, I'm like, I know they're going to destroy something. But no, I'm here. I'm doing this. And then, so I go over and we get anyway. I totally know that's what it happened. And
we need to start a...
It is what it is.
What sentence is going to come out of John's mouth that Eric will not expect today?
Well,
I was going to go check the dogs, but I was holding a goat.
Well, it's never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. So. And it just at the end of my update, I have completely and utterly failed at all beekeeping matters this year. So I went and bought 2 queens on Friday, put them in. One got out of the cage, presumably because she was dead, and then the other one had not been released. So I released her. This was 3 days later, so Monday afternoon, and but I. This weekend I get to go see if she survived, but I was trying to save the bees. I was trying to save the bees with these drone layers.
Desire to save the bees,
and I think that they killed another one of my queens from the swarm that I caught, and so I feel like everything I've tried to do this year has totally failed. And so I'm really discouraged on that. So it is what it is. I mean, I watched a video a couple weeks ago, and they were like, there was a comment that was like, nobody knows more about beekeeping than a 3rd-year beekeeper. And so, which was me last year, I think, because I think this is my 4th year. I'm like, oh, okay. So maybe I was just getting really cocky, and this is the bees' way of saying, no. You cannot anticipate us. We are not computers. I don't know. So anyway, that is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Disappointing.
Yeah.
I might still get some honey though. So we'll see.
Okay.
A little bit.
Well, I am filling my time reading other books, waiting for Cradle Book 11 to come out, which is July 5th. So
that would be a week from yesterday.
Yes. So I have I've started Termination Shock, which is an interesting. I'm about it's maybe a third of the way through it so far. So
okay,
I shall report on how I liked it next week.
I forget. Did I talk about that on the podcast? I don't remember. Maybe
I don't remember
not.
either.
I'd have to look at the RSS.
I don't remember the plot
good.
at all. So if we did talk
I
about
probably
it,
wouldn't. I probably wouldn't have given you spoilers, but
no. But the general plot, it's climate change. So
anywho, have you gotten to the big gun yet?
No.
Okay.
They're just about ready to go chat with the professor in Houston, which I assume is.
I'll let you read it.
What happens? Anyways, all right. There you go.
All right. Well, yeah. So by the time we talk next week, seeing as we talk next Wednesday and the book comes out on Tuesday, I have a suspicion that I will have read Cradle Book 11.
I'm going to
It's
see.
not a
if
long read.
No. Well, none of the others have been. I don't know what the new one, how many pages the new one will be.
Yeah.
But
anyway, looking forward to it. All right. Well, and I have a
Same.
book for my something fun, so I will not spoil that.
All right.
At the moment, but
all right. Well, I didn't see any follow-up, but I have a couple articles.
All right, hit me. What you got?
So the first one is cybersecurity mass resignations. So it's an article that's kind of a company has gone through and done some, what do they call it? Called a bunch of decision makers in cybersecurity across multiple sectors, and has discovered that 95% of the people, the people they talk to in cybersecurity, are experiencing factors that would make them likely to leave in the next 12 months. And the reasons why, and these are people who work in cybersecurity, usually IT or critical infrastructure or wherever, says the two dominant reasons why these people are considering leaving is 42% say that a cybersecurity breach is inevitable and they don't want to tarnish their careers. If something's inevitable and you're in that career, it's going to happen at some point. How you react is what you're going to be judged on, not that it happened. At least I don't know. That's my thoughts.
Well, maybe they're like surfing the responsibility wave or something like that. So so long as you've only been in the position for 6 months, you can still blame the
right.
previous inhabitor of that role, and then but once you get to where no, it's clearly your fault, then it's time to move on. I don't know.
And then the other 40%, well, not the other 40%. The second dominant reason is just stress and burnout is heavily impacting their personal lives. So high tech in general is very demanding. There's a lot of turnover right now, it's tough to hire people right now. And so just keeping people you have is tough. So this was an interesting article on kind of the background on, 60. Another stat in here is 68% of the leaders say it has become harder to recruit the right people to secure and monitor systems over the past 12 months, in part due to the intense demand for cybersecurity professionals. And 56% of the respondents believe that proposed updates to regulations around network and information systems are unfeasible, and 55% are still trying to meet the original requirements. So government, of course, is coming in and regulating a lot of stuff around cybersecurity and privacy, et cetera, et cetera. And the people with the boots on the ground who are now required to implement it are struggling. Yeah. I know it's great to, for legislatures to come out and say, you must do X. But at some point, somebody has to write the code, write the procedures, do all that stuff so that X can happen. It's not free. Just because you legislate something doesn't mean that it's now magic happens and everybody can do that. So,
I want to say that, hiring is difficulty hiring is not limited to the IT or information sector. One of the auto parts stores I went to this evening, I was like, oh, what time do you close? And she's like, 6. I'm like, ooh, that's early. She's like, yeah, we technically should be staying open to 9 like other stores, but I don't have the people. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of help wanted signs everywhere you go. Every
restaurant we go to, there's part-time help wanted. I went to a Hawaiian place tonight to get some, anyways, sign on the outside, help wanted. Your food may take longer than normal. We are understaffed. Yeah, so it's a tough labor market right now. Well, let me rephrase. It's a tough market to try to run a business right now. So anyway, so that's the first article. Not a whole lot other than if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably somewhere in cybersecurity or at least cybersecurity adjacent. The article has a number of other stats in it about demand for cybersecurity professionals and where that's going. So you can look at that one. And my second article is kind of following on to this, which is slightly different. I think last week I mentioned about how the FBI was warning about LinkedIn scams. This one is the FBI is warning that crooks are now using deepfakes, audio, video, etc., to apply for remote tech jobs. So when there are so many tech jobs available and so many people are trying to apply, if you can get scammers can then use deepfakes to do the video interviews using, deepfake video and audio and try to get jobs, just go apply for a whole bunch of jobs, get a job just long enough to have the job and get your access set up, and then steal whatever you can and then disappear, ghost the company. And
I haven't read this. This is about theft.
Yeah, they're using stolen data from stolen information from victims to go then apply for jobs, because jobs will run background checks against, like, it's someone stole my identity and applied for a job with my identity. It would pass a background check because I am not a criminal, at least not to my knowledge, right? And so, but I have legit data. I have a social security number. I have all that stuff. I appreciate your confidence. I have all the things to pass. And so then once I get the pre-employment background checks all worked out, then if I get hired, it's like any other scam or fraud. I can either use that influence my new job temporarily to get access to corporate systems, download, steal stuff, do whatever, and then ghost the company. So
I was assuming I hadn't read this article, so I was assuming this was about, you hear the stories of people that are kind of holding down 2, 3, 5 jobs
right
at the same time. And which I'm like, how low are the expectations at your role? But I don't know, maybe. Anyway.
I wonder, as a senior developer, how many entry-level junior developer job roles I could hold down with only like an hour a week.
Just because you're like, you know that somebody else might take a week to write that code, or like days.
Yeah.
And you're like, I could do that easily.
See, now you've put the Eric maybe wants to be a criminal thought in my head.
See, look at that.
You're a bad influence, John.
I'm sorry.
All right, those are my 2 articles that I found that interesting to chat about today.
Okay. All right. Cool. Let me go back to the notes so I find mine. Okay, so I had 2. The first one is, I'm sure, is going to bring a tear to your eye, which is the fact that
cryptocurrency.
Well, given the fact that cryptocurrency has fallen in price so much, it's putting a dent in North Korea's ability to do their missile tests.
To do criminal activity.
Their stolen cryptocurrency is not worth as much. So, this is what we call a beneficial side effect.
The glass half full. The silver lining.
Yeah. So this article is about, let's see, I'll read a couple things from it. So, a plunge in the prices of cryptocurrencies has dwindled the value of digital coins stolen by North Korean hackers, potentially denting a key source of funding Kim Jong-un would require to fund his ambitious weapons program. So this is a Reuters article citing 2 South Korean government sources, and says, let's see, there's a quote from, or some comment from blockchain data platform Chainalysis. So they said that North Korea uses tools for pooling and scrambling cryptocurrencies in its attempt to launder the assets, but that they essentially try and sell at a discount to people who are willing to pay in other currencies. And so there's other quote in here is that cyber attacks are, quote, absolutely fundamental to North Korea's ability to evade sanctions and raise money for its nuclear and missile programs, according to Eric Penton-Voke, coordinator for the United Nations panel of experts responsible for monitoring sanctions. And then there's some stats in here. So in 2019, it said North Korea generated an estimated $2 billion from cyber attacks for its weapons of mass destruction program. And that in April, the FBI accused two groups operated by North Korea for being responsible for a 620 million cryptocurrency heist that attacked the Ronin network, which would only be worth 230 million if carried out today. But it said North Korea reportedly swapped almost all the funds for Bitcoin. And then, Bitcoin, let's see, says since the year began, Bitcoin and Ethereum have plunged 57.3 and 69.5% respectively.
Ouch.
So there you go. I saw they were under, Bitcoin at least was under 20,000 at the moment. I don't know what Ethereum is. I think it's just over 1,000, or it was at one point recently. So there you go. I'm sure that that one, I heard that, or I saw it, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, not.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Okay.
My second article, so I don't know. So when I first read this, I was like, that is not actually much of an issue. But then there's a second part that is actually, I think, an issue. And then B, people will click on anything. So, at the end of the day, it probably is. So this is a, quote, clever phishing method to bypass MFA using Microsoft WebView2 Apps. So the reason I said this isn't, like, there are there are many apps these days that are nothing more than a shell around a WebView controller, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, especially on mobile devices, it's really easy to sort of hack together a mobile mobile app. Let me put air quotes around that. That's nothing more than a web page that has some buttons on it. So this is a proof of concept using Microsoft's WebView2 controller, which is basically a it's a web view that you can embed in an application. But since it is uses the Edge engine, so Chromium engine, anything rendered in that looks completely legit because, well, it is. It is the actual web controller.
Right.
But since you, as the app author, are in control of the hosting of that web controller, there are APIs that allow you to inject your own JavaScript and control the browsing engine. So you can, and it's transparent to the user, right? Because it's being done in code after the JavaScript is downloaded or whatever the page is retrieved from the network. You can edit behind the scenes. So is that new? Is that problematic? I mean, you can absolutely download an app that, and they say in here, there's a whole section in this article about the fact that, this is at its core a, social engineering attack. You got to get somebody to run something, malicious that you control. And right. Then once they've done that, you got to get them to, log into your Microsoft account or your Facebook account or your whatever it is. Right. Now, logging in there will look completely legit because it is completely legit. And it will actually save, if you follow through with your authentication attempt, it'll do the two-factor authentication. It's not intercepting the two-factor authentication at all or anything like that. It's letting that completely succeed, getting your token, and then being, essentially using that token that is now generated through a completely legit process to, do their own thing. Basically sending that token to their servers or whatever they want to do with it.
I don't know. It smells rootkit-ish.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because you're sitting underneath the legitimate process.
Yeah,
essentially.
Why it's a social engineering thing.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think was the bigger point in this article, which they obviously was in the article, but they didn't seem like they made the biggest as big a deal about it as it seems like it is to me, is when you instantiate the WebView2 controller, you can pass it a different data folder, and it will happily load it and use that data folder that contains all the other cookies, passwords, session identifiers, etc. from that. So you can launch your app and point it at the user's legit user data folder underneath app data, local data, Chrome, user data, and it will happily load all that into place. Then you have access to all the stored cookies and other things behind the scenes and can send those to your server, etc. So that seems like the bigger actual issue to me. So the quote in here is that, WebView2 allows you to launch with an existing user data folder rather than creating a new one. So we can simply tell WebView2 to start the instance using this profile, and upon launch, extract all cookies and transfer them to the attacker's server. So that seems like the bigger thing.
Yep.
In my not so humble opinion, I guess.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. All right. That was my two for the night.
All right. Something fun?
Something fun? Hit me up.
All right. So my something fun is a new podcast. New-ish.
Ooh.
It started, the first episode was in March of 2022. So just a couple months ago. And it's from Quanta Magazine, which I know we have pulled the occasional, something fun's from in the past. It's a podcast called The Joy of Why. And it's every other week. So every 2 weeks, so twice a month, it looks like, they have a podcast where they kind of explore a scientific topic. So, for example, why do we die without sleep? Why is inflammation a dangerous necessity? Which is something I've experienced recently. Where do space, time, and gravity come from? Will the James Webb Telescope reveal another Earth? So I've listened to a few episodes so far, and it's interesting. So I thought I would pass that along as if science is kind of your kick, and if you're on a tractor mowing 50 acres of lawn,
I
throw a couple of those on.
Add that to my Overcast right now. The joy of why.
Yeah.
I like how they have why, the why in why as a function.
Yes. So there you go. That's my something fun this week. A podcast recommendation, The Joy of Why by Quanta Magazine.
All right. I'm excited to listen to a couple of these. Okay.
All right. And the great thing is you can pick and choose which ones. Yeah. They're not,
It's not like a serial or anything like that.
No.
They're all independent.
Correct.
I haven't checked up on the James Webb Space Telescope in a while.
Myself
Last I had heard they were having they got hit by a micrometeor or something like that, and they were having to do some adjustments. But maybe I'll try and check back in on that this week, and maybe that'll be something fun next week. We'll see. Okay, I have a minor fun thing first.
Okay.
Which is just a Twitter link to a video. So again, one of those awesome things on a podcast. That's literally just a it's showing someone deconstructing 100-year-old house in Japan that was constructed with no nails at all. So I assume that they're, taking it apart because they're going to, move it and reconstruct it somewhere else, which is awesome. But just, looking at all the different joints that you can see as they're kind of pulling this stuff apart is fantastic.
Well, so, they're not nails, but there definitely are wooden pegs in spot. So, Okay.
They lock it in place.
Correct. It does look kind of cool. It looks very dusty though. I was watching the video.
Yeah. Very. But anyway,
I guess it's 100 years old.
It's exactly. It's probably about 100 years worth of dirt on some of those things. Yeah, that's true.
That is pretty cool.
Anyway, I thought that was awesome. Just a little minor thing. But so the book I mentioned earlier is called Kaiju Preservation Society. So this is I didn't mention this last week, did I? I hope not.
I don't remember.
Well, because I don't remember if I read it this week. You read it already?
I am done.
It was fast.
It was a fast read.
Fast.
It was a lot of fun. It was a fast read.
This is not this is not Principia Mathematica. This is light, enjoyable, fun read.
Yeah.
Science fiction, obviously. So, I mean, I guess I was assuming a kaiju is like Godzilla. Godzilla is a kaiju. So they're very big. And as you might guess from the title, they have to try and preserve the kaiju, which sort of infers that there actually are kaiju, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so yeah, I think it's the most recent book by John Scalzi, who I've read a bunch of stuff by him. Very funny, very, very fun, stuff.
Yeah.
Old Man's War. If you haven't read that series is really good. And the Old Man's War would be the first one I would say if you haven't read anything by John Scalzi. And the second I would say is The Collapsing Empire is really good. So anyway, those are... I was just meaning to be the Kaiju Preservation Society is my fun thing. I didn't realize you'd read it. Do you like it?
I did. I enjoyed it. I'm going to have my oldest daughter, who, as part of her senior project at school, made a video game about a kaiju. You can go on Steam, download the game, and it's all about this kaiju that gets bigger the more things it destroys. It's just kind of like a left to right runner. You just run left to right and destroy things as a kaiju.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So, she is gonna read it as well. But yeah, like you said, it was a fast read. It was kind of a fun, novel idea, concept, start to finish, easy science fiction to read. A lazy Sunday afternoon read, not a. I gotta think.
Did you read or did you listen to the audiobook?
Or both? I read this one. I did not buy the audiobook for this one.
So did you see who narrates the audiobook?
No.
Will Wheaton.
Oh, now I got to go get the audiobook. That'd have been fun.
Yeah.
That'd have been fun.
He did. He's done, at a minimum, he also did the Collapsing Empire for Scalzi. I don't know. I don't remember if he did other ones for him as well, but he does a great job. It's totally worth listening to.
Okay. So, I enjoyed reading that one because as soon as I finished book 10 of the Cradle series, I had nothing to do.
You're like, now what do I read?
So I've read the Kaiju Preservation Society. I've read Master of Revels. It's the
I've read it.
Dodo Part 2, which
Yep.
ended in a cliffhanger, which is killing me because now where's book 3?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm a third of the way through maybe a quarter of the way through Termination Shock. So,
All right.
all good.
Summer.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is a little warm. So,
Yeah. Well.
all right, dude. Have a good night.
Yep. You too.
I will chat with you later.
Talk to you later, Eric.
Bye.
Bye.